In this story, we follow the life of a young girl who seems happy with her boyfriend, but deep down, she feels an emptiness she can't explain. One day, she meets a stranger, and slowly, she finds herself drawn toward him. Is it just attraction, or something deeper? The real shock comes when her boyfriend discovers the truth. In that moment, what will break? A heart, a relationship, or an entire life? Let's begin. The story begins with Tessa Young, a girl who is everything parents hope for. She is intelligent, disciplined, respectful, and completely focused on building a successful future. She studies hard and stays away from unnecessary distractions and drama. She has a steady boyfriend, Noah Porter, who is kind, loving, and dependable. Along with that, she has a caring and protective mother who wants nothing more than to see her daughter succeed. Finally, the day arrives when Tessa has to leave home for college. For her, it marks the beginning of independence, new opportunities, and a bright future. But for her mother, it is an emotional and stressful moment filled with worry about Tessa's safety, her studies, the people she might meet, and all the possible distractions that could lead her off track. As they move her into the dorm, her mother keeps reminding her to stay responsible, disciplined, and focused. When they arrive, Tessa meets her new roommate, Steph Jones. The contrast between them is immediately clear. Steph is bold, fearless, energetic, and rebellious. With her colorful hair and edgy style, she represents everything Tessa has always stayed away from. Tessa's mother clearly feels uncomfortable with the situation and steps out of the room. Tessa follows her, while Noah stays behind, observing the girls. He expects them to talk to him, but instead, they end up making fun of him, leaving him awkward and out of place. Outside, Tessa's mother insists on requesting a room change, but Tessa reassures her that everything will be fine. She wants to prove that she is capable of handling her life on her own. She promises her mother that she will make her proud. Eventually, it's time to say goodbye. Tessa walks them out. Her mother breaks down in tears, realizing she will now have to live alone without her. A little later, Tessa says goodbye to Noah. He kisses her gently, and then he leaves. And just like that, Tessa finds herself alone in a completely new world. When she returns to her room, Steph casually remarks, "Your mom didn't like me, but I think I liked your brother." Tessa quickly corrects her, "He's not my brother, he's my boyfriend." Steph immediately invites her to parties and social events, but Tessa declines and begins unpacking her things. Most of her bags are filled with books. Steph laughs at this, but for Tessa, books are more than just objects. They are her comfort, her escape, and the one thing that always makes sense in an uncertain world. As the days pass, Tessa slowly begins to settle into her new routine. One day, on her way to class, she meets Landon Gibson, a kind and genuine person. It doesn't take long before he becomes one of the few people around whom Tessa truly feels comfortable. Tessa attends her first class and pays close attention, fully focused on her studies. After class, she returns to her dorm. That evening, after taking a shower, she walks back into her room, but suddenly stops. There's a stranger sitting there, completely at ease. Startled, Tessa looks at him and asks, "How did you even get in here?" The guy casually holds up a key. Instantly, Tessa realizes this has to be Steph's doing. A few moments later, Steph walks in. Tessa immediately tells her to ask her boyfriend to step outside so she can change. That's when Steph introduces him, Hardin. Hardin is nothing like Tessa. He's careless, sarcastic, emotionally guarded, unpredictable, and a little intimidating. There's something about him that feels unsettling, yet strangely akashak. He can barely hide his smirk as he looks at her. Tessa ignores all distractions around her and stays focused on her studies. But slowly, her curiosity about Hardin begins to grow. Finally, one night while Tessa is studying, Steph comes in and insists she join her at a party. Tessa doesn't want to go, but after repeated persuasion, she reluctantly agrees. They get dressed, and Tessa chooses an outfit she feels comfortable in before heading to the party. The party is loud, chaotic, and overwhelming. Music blasts through the walls. People are drinking, dancing, shouting, completely lost in the moment. Tessa feels completely out of place. Then someone suggests playing a game of truth or dare. When it's Tessa's turn, she chooses truth, thinking it's the safer option. But the questions expose just how simple and inexperienced her life has been. People laugh, making fun of her innocence. Then someone dares her to kiss Hardin. The room falls silent. Tessa slowly walks toward him, pauses for a moment, and then refuses. She won't kiss a stranger. Embarrassed and overwhelmed, she leaves the party. To calm herself, she calls Noah. Hearing his familiar voice brings her comfort. But when she tells him she's at a party, he gets annoyed. He doesn't like it at all. Tessa hangs up and walks away from the noise, wandering through the house until she accidentally enters a quiet room. The walls are lined with books, rows of classic literature. She begins looking through them, drawn in. Suddenly, the door opens. It's Hardin's room. Tessa is surprised. He doesn't get angry. Instead, they start talking about books, authors, and ideas. For the first time, she sees a different side of him. Behind his cold attitude and rough exterior is someone thoughtful, intelligent, and deeply complex. The tension between them begins to grow, along with an undeniable attraction. For a brief moment, it feels like like they might kiss. But Tessa stops herself and walks away. She feels shaken, confused. She doesn't understand what's happening to her. A sense of guilt creeps in, like she's betraying her boyfriend. Back in her room, she tries to sleep, but sleep never comes. The next day, Tessa goes to class and sits beside Landon Gibson. Shortly after, the lecture begins, and the professor asks a question about love. When it's Hardin's turn, he bluntly says that love is an illusion. He believes it's temporary, unreliable, and ultimately ends in pain. Tessa strongly disagrees. She argues that love is real, powerful, and capable of changing people's lives. Their debate quickly intensifies, and even the people around them begin to notice the undeniable chemistry between the two. After class, Hardin approaches Tessa, continuing the conversation from earlier. But Tessa assumes he's just trying to impress her, though that's not actually the case. After he leaves, Landon comes over and asks her to grab coffee. Tessa comments that Hardin is arrogant. Then Landon reveals something surprising. Hardin's father is dating Landon's mother. If things move forward, Hardin and Landon could become stepbrothers. That means Tessa and Hardin's lives are becoming connected in ways she never imagined. Later that evening, Tessa is with Steph, who's getting a tattoo while Tessa watches. Steph encourages her to get one too, saying it would look good on her. Tessa quietly replies that her mother would never approve and falls silent. That night, while Tessa is sleeping, she suddenly wakes up and notices Hardin in a room with Steph. She says nothing and silently gets through the night. The next morning, Tessa runs into Hardin in a campus cafe. He apologizes and suggests starting over as friends. Tessa doesn't respond, but Hardin invites her to go with him to a quiet place outside the city that he likes. At first, she refuses, but her curiosity gets the better of her and she agrees. Soon, they're both in a car, stealing glances at each other. After a while, they arrive deep in the woods. Hardin asks her to walk with him, and he leads her to a hidden lake surrounded by trees. The place is peaceful, beautiful, and untouched. Without hesitation, Hardin jumps into the water and invites her to join him. A little nervous, Tessa puts on his shirt and follows him in. For hours, they swim, talk, and open up to each other in ways they never expected. Away from everything, Tessa feels truly free. Eventually, without planning it, they share their first kiss, sudden, intense, and impossible to ignore. After some time, they come out of the water. Tessa wants to change, so Hardin turns around to give her privacy. But in that moment, something shifts. Tessa moves closer to him instead. Later that evening, they spend more time together, both seeming happy. Tessa wants to know more about Hardin, but he refuses to open up about himself. Just then, Hardin's friends arrive. He tells Tessa they'll meet later. Feeling hurt and confused, Tessa leaves. Her mood completely falls apart, and she walks back to her room, trying to distract herself. That night, Tessa dreams about Hardin. In the dream, he demands answers from her. Suddenly, she wakes up. The next day, as Tessa is walking out of class, she suddenly spots her boyfriend, Noah, who has come to surprise her. He wants to take her out, spend some time together. That night, Noah and Tessa go to a different place where many college students have gathered, a bonfire party. During the party, a drunk student starts bothering Tessa. Suddenly, Hardin steps in without hesitation, punches the guy, and protects her, then walks away without saying a word. Back in her room, Tessa can't stop thinking about Hardin. Her boyfriend is right there beside her. But when midnight comes and Noah falls asleep, Tessa quietly slips out of the room and goes to find Hardin. Later that night, she finds him alone and drunk. For the first time, Hardin completely breaks down. He opens up about his painful childhood, his broken family, and his emotionally distant father. He explains that, in his experience, love only leads to betrayal and pain, which is why he pushes people away before they can hurt him. But meeting Tessa has changed something inside him. That same night, they give in to their feelings. Hardin takes her to his room, apologizes for his behavior, and Tessa forgives him. Slowly, she moves closer, and for the first time, they spend the entire night together. The next morning, Tessa wakes up in shock. She rushes back to her room, where Noah is waiting. One look at her, and he immediately understands what happened. He asks quietly, "Where were you last night? I texted you. You didn't reply." Tessa lies, saying she was with a friend. But even as she says it, Noah knows the truth. He doesn't say much, but the pain on his face says everything. With a silently broken heart, Noah turns to leave. Tessa tries to stop him, but he walks away. She watches him go, knowing she has hurt the one person who truly loved her. And yet, despite the guilt, her heart chooses Hardin. For a while, everything feels perfect. They laugh together, spend every moment side by side, and even start living in a quiet house where they begin building a new life. Tessa starts to see a softer side of Hardin, something no one else seems to notice. Slowly, he begins to trust, to care, and to love in a way he never has before. For the first time in his life, he seems truly happy. But that happiness doesn't doesn't last long. They continue meeting during college hours. One day, they are in the library when the announcement comes that it's about to close. Hardin takes Tessa to a quiet room downstairs, and the two of them quickly run away. Another day, Hardin is writing something. Curious, Tessa asks what he's writing. She tries to take his notebook, but in the process, she moves closer to him. The moment turns romantic, but suddenly Tessa's mother arrives. She is shocked to see her daughter like this, and immediately starts questioning her. Tessa tries to explain, but her mother becomes angry. Tessa takes her outside the room, but her mother insists that she break up with Hardin immediately. Tessa refuses. Her mother, hurt and furious, tells her that if she doesn't end the relationship, their own relationship will be over, and then she leaves. Tessa is left confused and upset, unsure of what to do. She goes to a close friend from college, who comforts her and tells her that things will eventually get better, but she needs to take care of herself. The next day, Tessa meets Hardin again. He takes her to a house. Tessa looks around and asks, "Whose house is this?" Hardin replies, "It belongs to a friend of my dad." Here, Hardin suggests that Tessa stay with him in this house for a year, especially since her mother will no longer support her financially. The two grow closer, becoming more romantic, and slowly Tessa's life begins to feel happier. She now has a place to live, and someone she loves. Hardin takes her out to new places every day, exploring the world with her, and Tessa truly enjoys it. One day, Hardin takes her to a party where he runs into Landon Gibson, who is now officially his stepbrother. However, the two clearly don't like each other. When Landon's mother and Hardin's father meet him, Hardin feels uneasy and irritated, but they are happy to meet Tessa. After a while, the parents leave, and Hardin sits down with Tessa at a table. Meanwhile, his father proudly talks about his wife and mentions that he now has two sons, Hardin and Landon. Hearing this, Hardin gets angry. He refuses to accept Landon as his brother. He reveals that his father never truly cared for his mother, and that she passed away when he was only 8 years old. Hardin walks away and takes Tessa back home. The next day after college, Tessa meets her friend, who asks about Noah. Tessa tells her that they've broken up and that she's now living with Hardin. Steph warns her to be careful, saying that Hardin is unreliable and has a habit of getting involved with girls and then leaving them. Hearing this makes Tessa anxious, especially because Steph admits that she herself was once involved with Hardin. When Tessa returns home, she can't stop thinking. At that moment, she happens to look at Hardin's phone and notices multiple messages from another girl. She immediately senses that he's hiding something. She confronts him, but Hardin refuses to answer and simply walks away. Tessa grows restless. She wants answers, but gets none, and fear begins to creep in. Is Hardin betraying her too? That night, when Hardin doesn't return home, she texts him, but receives no reply. Worried, she goes out looking for him. Soon, she spots his car parked outside a bar. She walks inside, searching for him, and finds Steph there. When Tessa asks if she's seen Hardin, Steph doesn't answer. But among Hardin's friends, a shocking truth comes out. Steph finally reveals everything. She tells Tessa that Hardin had been part of a cruel bit the night they first met, a challenge to make Tessa fall in love with him, and then break her heart. Hearing this shatters Tessa completely. Every memory, every tender moment now feels like a lie. Hardin desperately tries to explain that once he truly got to know her, the bet stopped meaning anything to him. He insists that what he feels now is real. But by then, it's too late. Tessa walks away. Hardin can only stand there, watching her leave. Broken, but stronger than before, Tessa returns home. She meets her mother, tells her everything, and asks for forgiveness. Her mother forgives her, knowing her daughter's heart has already been shattered. Soon after, Tessa meets Noah. She apologizes to him. Noah stays silent for a moment. Tessa asks if they can start over again, if they can be together again. Eventually, Noah forgives her, and they both seem at peace. Tessa begins to focus on herself again. Instead of breaking down, she chooses to rebuild. She works harder in her studies, looks for new opportunities, and eventually secures an internship at a publishing company, moving one step closer to her dreams. Meanwhile, Hardin is left alone, drowning in regret. Because of a foolish bet, he has lost the one person he truly loved. A few days later, the college exam results are announced. After everyone leaves the classroom, Tessa receives a letter from Hardin through her teacher. She steps outside and reads it in front of Landon. In the letter, Hardin confesses everything. He writes that meeting Tessa changed his entire perspective about love, trust, and life itself. He admits that when she once asked him who he loved the most, he had answered, myself. But now he finally understands the truth. He loves Tessa more than anything. After reading the letter, Tessa returns to the lake, the place where their story truly began. She sits there quietly, remembering every beautiful moment they shared. For a moment, it feels like Hardin is still there beside her. But in reality, he's gone. And in that silence, their love becomes something eternal.